you. And this meeting is being recorded, as you can see. So without further ado, why don't we introduce some people we're really happy to have on the line today. I'm not sure though if our district governor has arrived yet. If not, we'll move on to our presidents. District Governor Kevin, are you here yet? Okay, so then why don't we get to the Nottingham Rotary Club's president, Jeff Bosworth. Do you want to just say a quick hello, Jeff?
Hello, hello from Jeff. Can you all hear me there? That's great. Thank you. I can't hear you. Great. I was just getting dressed. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late.
Oh, no problem. Let's see what it is that you're putting on. Is that your president's, what is that?
That's the chain of office, president of the club. There you go.
No, we do not have such a custom in our area. So right there, we've already made a cross-cultural connection. Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. Our own president here in Philadelphia, the Rotary Club, Jay Penny, would you say hello?
Hello, everyone. Welcome from across the pond. And I'm a little upset that I didn't receive such a thing as president of the club. But be that as may, welcome Jeff Bosworth, President Jeff Bosworth, and everyone from the Nottingham Club and everyone else is joining us as our guests. Thank you.
Do either of our presidents have any kind of a gong or something we could symbolically call this meeting to order? If not, I'll just snap my fingers. Do either of you have anything a little more formal? Okay, the meeting is officially called to order. And again, thanks everyone for being here. Jason Walker is here with us. We have a newer club in our area, the Rotary Club of Philadelphia Happy Hour Satellite Club. So Jason, as past chair, would you like to say hello?
Thanks Lisa. Hi, hi to my fellow compatriots from the UK. So I'm actually wearing my England shirt right now. I'm from Bath originally, and I moved to Philadelphia around 6 years ago. So joined the Rotary Club and have been up till last week running the Happy Hour Club, which meets in the evenings. So welcome to everyone and great to meet you.
Thanks, nice to see you, Jason. Oh, now we've got some guests joining us from Little Rock, Arkansas. Can we see and hear from Patrick and Francine, please? You could unmute yourselves, Patrick and Francine.
Hello from Little Rock. Actually, originally, my husband's from France and I'm from Belgium. And we are part of a breakfast club that met this morning. So we met this morning once already. Thank you so much for inviting us. We're excited about joining you.
Good to have you both here. Now back to the Philadelphia area from the Rotary Club of University of Pennsylvania. Christine Recto, could you please say hello?
Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Christina, and I'm a rising senior at Penn, and our vice president's also here, Cezanne. And we're really glad to get connected with like other chapters of Rotary, and like it's really neat to see like the history of different sects. So we're really excited for the meeting.
Absolutely, thank you. Good to have you here. We will now go down south to Key Biscayne, Florida, and say hello to Robert Brooks from the Rotary Club there.
Hey, Philadelphia, Nottingham, how are you? Hope everyone's well. I'm here because Gwen has joined your club. Gwen Ellen has joined the Philadelphia Club, and we really miss her here in South Florida. She was a biker. I don't know if you knew that. So I invited some buddies that used to know her down here, but then I found out she was actually a bicycle rider, not a motorcycle rider. So Gwen, I'm sorry I brought these lugs along with me to welcome you to Philadelphia. My family is all from Philadelphia. They lived in Drexel Hill and in Lombard Street around the corner from Gwen. So I know your area really well. Greetings from South Florida. We're a breakfast club on Friday mornings, 7:30, and we've been meeting ever since the COVID. We haven't missed a meeting. So thank you, and you guys are very lucky to get Gwen on your team. We miss her a lot.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for that, Bob. Now, before I bring Kirsty Halliday to the Zoom microphone, I just want to say that one of the best things, as we all know about Rotary, is the wonderful lifelong friendships that can be formed. And it was through the Rotary Club of Philadelphia that I met this woman who is now living a very adventurous, wonderful life on the other side of our country, but she's able to join us and she has UK connections. Would you please say hello, Miss Kirsty Halliday?
Hello. I am here on the West Coast, just outside of Yosemite National Park right now. I'm still in my RV. It's been 7 years. I have a Rotary logo on the side of my RV that is holding up better than all the other paint on my RV. Where I'm parked right now has no signal, so I had to drive down the road in my friend's truck to join you guys today, but I'm glad that I did. Nice to see you all again.
Nice to see you. Yeah, so great you could join us. Yeah. Has District Governor Kevin joined us yet? We were warned that he was busy with work this morning, so he may be late. So we will bring him onto the screen whenever he does arrive. Time now, sorry, any other guests that I missed? So if you're not a member of any of the Rotary Clubs of Philadelphia or Nottingham, is there any other visiting Rotarian that we did not get to say hello to? Alex, I'll ask you to keep an extra set of eyes on.
Yep, it looks like Catherine. Are you a guest?
Hi.
Catherine, do you say hello?
I'm a guest. I'm a guest of Marva Hay from the Philadelphia Club. Nice seeing all of you.
Where are you right now? Are you in Philadelphia area?
I'm in New York City right now.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
I used to be a Rotary member in Greenwich, Connecticut for quite a number of years, and I still do work with the Rotary indirectly now, but I'm no longer a member.
Okay. Well, good to have you here. I hope you enjoy the
Nice to
meeting.
meet you all. Thank you.
Yes, okay. Let's then begin our presentation. We have an agenda to follow, and of course time is tight because we all have to get back to work. Or Nottingham, what time is it and what time is it there? It's nighttime, isn't it?
Yes, no, it's 6:15, Lisa. PM.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to keep to our agenda, and then I'm going to turn things over to the Nottingham Club for your presentation. That would be from past president, Dr. Roy Bradshaw. If you could unmute yourself and begin your presentation, please.
Alex, could you let me share my screen, please?
Yep, Paul just turned it on. You should be able to share screen now.
Thank you. Are you ready to go, Roy?
Yeah, indeed. Okay, I got 15 minutes to say something about the history between the two clubs, which is very, very little time. So I apologize, it's going to be a bit more Nottingham than Philadelphia, on the principle that I know a bit about Nottingham, but I'm not quite so good on Philadelphia. They're both very old clubs, but obviously Philadelphia is one of the very first. You were chartered in 1911. We weren't chartered until 1918, and we were really dependent on a local businessman, a man called Harry Bennett, who was in the motor trade, and it was a bit like Paul Harris. He was alarmed by the business activities that were going on at the time, and he thought that if business was to thrive, it should be based on trust, integrity, and service. So. And he formed a Nottingham Business Efficiency Club back in 1913. It was very much along Rotary lines, but he wasn't aware of Rotary at that time. But then Rotary came to this side of the Atlantic, and the first place it came to was a British city then, Dublin. It was, of course, before the First World War, and Dublin was still part of the UK. From Dublin, it spread to the Celtic bits of these islands, Belfast, Glasgow, and Edinburgh. And then at Edinburgh, it sort of met a very influential man called Thomas Stevenson. And he went around the countryside and got as much support for Rotary as possible, and including Nottingham. So we set up a Rotary club on the basis of Sloss Stevenson, and that's why Edinburgh is our mother club. So we were formed during the First World War, and of course immediately after well, we're still fighting the war, and there was a lot of reconstruction to be done. And then there's, of course, the Spanish flu, which was pretty ghastly. It's a bit like the coronavirus these days. It was awful. In fact, more people died then than they did in the war. So it was a horrible business. But by 1921, the enterprising Americans decided that they would come over to these islands, and we had a convention in Edinburgh, and there was about over 1,000 Americans came across. In fact, I had to charter a couple of Cunard ships to do it, so it was an amazing show on behalf of Rotary International. Now, it was at this meeting that the delegates from Philadelphia and Nottingham got together, and they got on very well together. And the official record says that this was because both cities had important lace industries, and so they had much in common to speak to each other about. But the unofficial account says the Americans were a bit too boisterous for the rather dour Scots, who were a bit straight-laced. So the Philadelphians thought that they might rather tie up with the adventurous Nottingham crowd. Well, you can take your choice as to which explanation is correct, but that is when we met, and that's when it was a meeting of minds. So when we had formed our first get-together, the number of things which were done. Sorry, I'm missing a sheet of paper. One of which was that arranged, I think it was in 1925, Christmas Eve 1925, there was a radio link-up between the club at Nottingham and the club in Philadelphia. And that was a remarkable business because you know, this was really much the infancy of radio, and yet the Rotary clubs were automatically or already doing the link-ups as they should, and they were really at the top end of technology at that time, which was great. Anyway. There were many other things which gifts and so on, a goodwill exchange between the two clubs, including a magnificent lectern which came from the early 20s, and it had not yet Paul, had a reading lamp and a clock and places and so on. The only problem with the lectern is it was in general use until very recently, but it's beginning to show its age at the moment. It's nearly 100 years old, and so we'll need to put some restoration work in to get it back to its former glory. So things were going quite well, and then the 30s came along, and for us it was quite an important time. In 1934, we had Fred Gray of the Nottingham Club was elected president of RI, and in the same year, Paul Harris made an official visit to Nottingham, where he was greeted by over 500 Rotarians. So he left a deep impression on all who was there. So yeah, the 30s, the end of the 30s, bit tricky because we've gone through the Spanish Civil War, which was on our doorstep, and was pretty ghastly. And then 1939, the outbreak for us of the Second World War. And that was really very frightening. And the thought of being bombed, rather like, well, the Blitzkrieg effect in Spain was thought to be on its way to the countries in Europe. And they were, except that we were saved by 20 odd miles of channel, and the Royal Air Force in fighting the Battle of Britain. So it was a pretty awful time, and despite that, we received from Philadelphia an enormous messages of goodwill and messages of help. And there was an offer by the club in Philadelphia to that if we sent over the children between the ages of 5 and 16, they would find sanctuary amongst Rotary families for the duration, to America, to Philadelphia, for the duration of the hostilities. And that was a tremendous gesture, and it meant a great deal to the people here because, you know, we were very friendless, and it was a very unwelcome and unfriendly world that we were in at that time. However, the risk of losing our children from shipping and submarine warfare was just too great to take up their offer. But it was absolutely tremendously well appreciated, and it meant a great deal to us. Notwithstanding that, then the Rotary Club said, well, if we can't do anything for the children, we'll send monies across for a couple of canteens. There's one. I don't know what a mobile canteen is in American English, but that's a mobile canteen. And the rather suspicious looking guys on the right hand side were officials of the Rotary Club, and the rather jollier chaps on the left hand side were all members of the Rotary Club. This came through in 1940, just at the end of the Battle of Britain, and they were mostly manned, or at least womaned, by wives of Rotary members who provide hot drinks, soup, sandwiches, etc., to any parts of the city that needed cleaning up after the Blitz, and they also help with transportation and so on. So the mobile canteens, very practical and tremendously appreciated by our members. I will just for a moment. My memories just go back to the Second World War, because apparently my mother had put me in the back lawn or yard for an afternoon's sleep, and I was woken by a huge bang, a really huge bang, and my mother explained that been caused by the explosion of a V1 rocket in the woods behind her house, and she said that the man responsible was a Mr. A. Hitler. Well, I was only just 1 and a bit at the time, and I thought, no way to behave, disturbing a child's sleep at this time. So I let the whole world know my feelings, and lo and behold, after this intervention, Mr. Hitler gave up warmongering for good. So it was very useful in life. If you're not happy with the way things are, make a loud complaint. You might be able to make a difference. Anyway, with the onset of peace, much reconstruction work had to be done, and we were again very grateful for help across the Atlantic, across the sea, and particularly I know that well, I'm aware of the food parcels which came across the Atlantic. I know they weren't just Rotary, they were all Americans, but particularly as a small boy, I was very, very appreciative of the tinned peaches which came from the Sunshine State of Florida. They really made a difference in the rather grey world that we had to live in at that time. With the onset of peace, we were able to resume our more normal activities. I think there's a loving couple or something, is there, Paul, which was exchanged. And then in 1953, there was a visit from Philadelphia to these shores, which we were, I think that's meeting people from Nottingham meeting the party from Philadelphia. And particularly, we were very pleased to meet and welcome and entertain Guy Gundaker from Philadelphia, one of the really great Rotarians. And it was good to have him in our club. we also were very pleased to receive copies of the Liberty Bell, which are symbolic of your club and seem to have been linked to your club throughout the past century. And that's it's a very nice gift that we receive with a great deal of pride. Now, as a club, we've in the last sort of half century, we've carried on doing our normal things. We particularly thought that the link with Philadelphia was very productive and very fine, best traditions of Rotary. And so we've had for some time a link up with the Danish Club of Randers, which consists of us going across to Denmark every 2 years, and they're coming back in the alternative 2 years. And we stay in their homes and they stay in ours and so on, and it's all very worthwhile. More recently, we've formed a link with the Rotary Club of Minsk, that's the capital of Belarusia, and we visited them there, and we hope that they will soon be able to visit us in Nottingham, but there is a problem with COVID-19, I'm told. So we've had a very, very fruitful time knowing the club at Philadelphia. And now that we've got a useful method of communication, we're not just dependent on sort of fixing our radios and so on, but we now can fix this Zoom meetings. I hope that the number of joint activities between our two clubs will continue and flourish. After all, we have a very long tradition to build on. So thank you very much, Philadelphia. We really do appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you so much. Nice presentation. Yes, round of applause there. We will move on to the Philadelphia additions to that story, or contributions from Philly's perspective, from Joan Vittori in just a moment. But I want to take a minute to introduce some of the people who we didn't get to mention before. Emil and Gwen, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourselves. We'll start with Emil Petrov. As I understand, you're a new Rotarian in London. Hi, Emil. We don't hear you, unfortunately, but we can see you. Yes, can any of our tech support understand why we're not hearing Emil? In the meanwhile, why don't you, Gwen, could we turn it over to, oh, you there? Gwen England?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, yeah.
Good.
So happy that you've moved to the Philadelphia area.
Thank you. Yes, we moved 3 months ago in the middle of the COVID, so haven't got the opportunity to meet you all in person. But fortunately, Bob and Joan ensured a transfer from the Florida Key Biscayne Club to the Philadelphian Rotary Club. I'm originally Dutch. I moved to US 3 years ago, and I've been a Rotarian for 16 years. So I've been a Rotarian in the Netherlands as well. I've also been a president, 2008 and 9. And I'm very happy to be here, although I haven't seen a lot from Philadelphia yet, only my block and my neighborhood. And but still, we're happy to be here. I'm here with my husband, Neil, and with my 9-year-old son, Senna, who hasn't been to school yet. So I hope that we will manage that in spring. But until that time, we have to meet this way. So happy to be here. And Bob, thank you for the nice background. But I also ride a Harley Davidson, so I like the background.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Gwen.
Yes, she does. She's a biker girl.
All these fun facts about everybody's different hobbies and interests. That's great. We'll learn more about you, Gwen, in the coming months, I'm sure. Emil, how are we doing? Are you able to say hi now? Emil Petrov? Joining us from London. No, we still cannot.
We tried some tech support behind the scenes. I don't know if we get it to work. We'll try. We'll see later.
Okay, all right. In the meantime, thank you for joining us, Emil. And is our district governor here yet? Kevin Katarnik, have you arrived? All right, so we will move on with the second part of our presentation. Would you please welcome from Philadelphia, our past district governor and past president, who you know very well, it's Joan Vittori.
Hi, everybody. It's really wonderful that we were able to pull this off. This is our first Zoom meeting outside of the meeting we had a couple of weeks ago, where we had even more participants, and this really functionality of Rotary. So I'm going to actually stop video so that Alex will be able to throw some pictures up on the screen when the time comes. So we are doing the history of Rotary and Nottingham from the Philadelphia perspective. And thank you, Ray, for your excellent presentation. The only thing I can add to what you've said is that in 1949, when England was still rationing and rationing very heavily, the Rotarians in Philadelphia knew this. People today just don't understand how long rationing went on in the UK after World War II. It didn't end in 1945. Even in 1949, you were still heavily rationed. We knew that. So our president at the time, Bruce Allen, proposed to our members that we raise money to be able to provide you with a full lunch of items that you hadn't seen in years. So to that end, one of our members, George Tall, actually had, he flew from Brussels to Nottingham to represent our club during this lunch. And the money that we raised went towards purchasing a full exotic lunch for those of you who hadn't experienced these delicacies in years. It arrived by plane from New York in ice packs, and it took about 11 or 12 hours for the flight, but it did arrive. And that dinner consisted of Philadelphia pepper pot soup, which we don't even make anymore, but it was great. I won't tell you what's in it. You don't want to know. We really do. Everyone had I guess a half a pound of well-done sirloin steak, French fries, and green peas, lettuce and tomato, which I'm not sure you had then, fruit salad, which I don't know if you had then, ice cream, cake, and coffee. And from what I can gather, it was a very well attended and very appreciated luncheon. And so much so that at the end, each of the national anthems was sung. That was very creative. And then in 1960, on the 50th anniversary of our club, your president then, Fred Garner, came over to celebrate with us. There were 700 attendees. Fred was given a place of honor at the head table. And on behalf of your club, he presented this to us. This was a silver vase, and it is inscribed to the Rotary Club of Philadelphia from the Rotary Club of Nottingham in token of our 50 years, actually our many years of friendship on your golden anniversary, November 1960. So it still exists. Thank you very much, Rotary Club of Nottingham. We truly appreciate it. We treasure it. I did skip from 1930. I skipped over 1930. And Alex, can you throw the picture up of this certificate that we received from Nottingham? There it is. And you mentioned Fred Gray and Harry Bennett. And you can see that this certificate, which reads, "The officers and members of the Rotary Club of Nottingham, England, send by their much esteemed honorary secretary, Fred W. Gray, very cordial greetings to the officers and members of their sister club of Philadelphia, recalling with pleasure and satisfaction a good relationship existing between the two clubs and expressing the hope that by its continuance and development, a contribution may be made to universal peace and goodwill. Signed on behalf of the members of the Rotary Club of Nottingham, Joseph Lindfair, President, Harry Bennett, Honorable Treasurer, Fred W. Gray, Honorable Secretary, June 1930. And Alex, the other picture of the directory. This is fascinating. This is a true time capsule. As you'll see from the screen, we can't open it for you, but I think those of you from Nottingham will probably treasure this. I don't know if oh yeah, a comment from Kelly. Mr. Littlefield is also in the photo. Okay. This directory, there's no date on it, but it looks like it might date from the 1930s. And it really does illustrate why our two clubs decided to associate with each other back in 1921. You were mentioning the lace industry, Ray, and that is absolutely correct. Philadelphia at that time, 1921, had that in common with you, plus printing. You know, we had Curtis Publishing Company, the oldest publishing company in the United States, and you had a very well-known publishing company as well. And so there were other reasons that both the industrial and manufacturing that we found that we had in common with you, and that's what sparked that relationship. And this directory, as you go through it, it shows the Nottingham of the time, and it's absolutely fascinating to see, even then, double-decker buses and an enormous number of historic groups, theater groups, and even bicycle manufacturing, which I hadn't even thought employed 4,000 people in Nottingham. And we ourselves were a heavily manufacturing-centered city. So you can understand why we did what we did and how we came together. And more recently, we decided that we were going to try to locate each other closer to the time of the Birmingham Convention. Kirsty from Edinburgh had an abiding interest in finding you, as did I at the time. So we were researching you concurrently. We found you online, and that's how we were able to set up with you one of our first Skypes, that was a Skype meeting. And we found that we had so much in common even then that we decided to see you at the Birmingham Convention. We did. We were well received by you and your members. About 12 of us and 12 of your members met at a small hotel in Meriden, a small village outside Birmingham. We enjoyed a wonderful get together. I think we sang the Robin Hood song to each other. David Power, I think you were there. And of course, John Bendel was there. But we'll talk about that at a little bit later. The next Skype that we had was in there was another one in 2009. And because we had that food tradition from that lunch that you had received from us in 1949, we decided to resurrect that tradition. So while we met on Thursday at noon, which was our lunch meeting, and you were meeting at 6 o'clock, which was your dinner meeting. So it all worked out very well. We sent you a carton of Tasty Cakes, which is the signature cake of Philadelphia. And you sent us a box of Thornton chocolates. So we were able to enjoy this concurrently while we had this wonderful meeting by Skype. And finally, in 2014, we had our last Skype meeting when President Sandy Goldberg and you, Roy Bradshaw, were present. Were present, both presidents at the time. And it was just an absolutely wonderful reunion that we determined that we were going to do again. And here we are. So it's just very, very memorable for all of us to be able to reconnect and hope that this goes forward. The end.
Wonderful, Joe. Thank you very much for your presentation. We're all learning, and this is really a nice way to reconnect via Zoom. You're right, the technology is making all of this possible now. So thanks to both of our main presenters. In a couple of minutes, we're going to hear again from the Batories, including Joan's husband, Joe, as well as John Bendel, who we've just been hearing about, sharing some memories from the Birmingham Convention. But a couple of more little housekeeping things. Number one is that towards the end of the meeting, we have an opportunity to hear from everybody. If you'd like to just raise your hand. This is something we've been doing in our Philadelphia Zoom meetings, and it's sort of a question of the day. So for this meeting, the two questions we'll throw out there, feel free to just raise your hand if you'd like to respond to one of them is, what is one good thing about this quarantine period? What is one good thing that you feel has come out of the quarantine period? Trying to just focus on the positive because we know it's a very sad time and difficult in many ways. So one good thing about quarantine, or what has been your favorite comfort food? What have you been eating a lot of while perhaps you're binge watching Netflix or something along those lines? So favorite comfort food or one positive thing to come out of quarantine. We'll get to that at the end of the meeting. Just a nice way for all of us to kind of get to know each other and hear from each other. But now I'd like everybody to pose for a photograph. So we're going to take some screenshots. Everybody, on the count of 3, I'll just ask you to please smile and look into the camera, and then we'll have Alex grab some screenshots. So if you're ready, okay, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, smile.
Wow.
Okay. Should we do one more? Do we need to say cheese? Cheese.
Cheese, if you please.
Okay, I think Alex probably got what he needed, right?
Yeah,
maybe
we're
we'll
good.
just do one more round.
We're good.
Okay, we're good. Thank you, everybody. And we're sticking to the agenda. This is wonderful, time-wise. I was a little nervous, but looks like we're in good shape now to open the mic back up to the Batories and John Bendel for any sharings of the memories of the Birmingham Convention.
Alex, could you throw up that picture after John speaks? So, John, why don't you go first?
Got it.
Oops.
John, are you able to unmute yourself? John Bendel?
Well, I think in the meantime, Alex, why don't you throw that picture up?
Will do.
Excellent.
So there we have John Bendel, his wife Ann, and Lynmar Brock from our Rotary Club of Philadelphia. Lynmar was not only a president of our Rotary Club, but he was also a director of Rotary International. We had, of course, Guy Gundaker, who was the director and then president of Rotary International, who visited your club, and George and Glenn Mead, who was also a president of Rotary International. And I don't think your members had an opportunity to meet him. But as you can see, John and Ann and Lynmar were in a very good mood at the Birmingham Convention. It was really very well attended. It was a wonderful convention. Joe, you can share your fond memory.
Well, I have a stunning memory from the Birmingham Convention. It starts with what Joe mentioned, the social between 12 or 15 members of the Nottingham Rotary and 12 or 15 members of the Philadelphia Rotary. Wonderful camaraderie, fellowship, fun. But as we were talking, the Nottingham people kept saying to me, don't miss the last session of the convention. Don't miss it's something special. It's something special. So of course, Joan and I went to the last session of the Birmingham International Convention, Rotary International Convention, and out came this absolutely beautiful, stunning young woman and proceeded to sing like an angel. And I had never heard, I've been around the opera a lot. I've never heard anything like that. That was the amazing Catherine Jenkins. And if you know who that is, you should. She was performing at a Rotary International Convention, but she is the world's top classical singer. If you think of Lucia Pavarotti, think of Adrienne Breu, she has outsold them with records, 13 #1 albums in the UK and Europe. A stunning, stunning voice. If you don't know who that is, find her on the YouTube. So if I have a memory from Birmingham, it is Catherine Jenkins. And don't miss her. She's pretty spectacular.
And of course, Joe didn't mention the fact that not only is her voice absolutely exquisite, she is one of the world's most beautiful women. So I hand it to the Welsh. You did a good job.
Again.
I mean, we have Engelbert, we have Tom Jones, but then we have Catherine Jenkins. So is John available? If not, I will just share that we all were invited by you, our fellow Rotarians from Nottingham, to a dinner during the convention. And it was wonderful to be with you all. And one of the entertainment was something we just don't experience here. You had a handbell choir. And it was the first time I had ever heard a handbell choir of young people. So it was very, very appreciated by both Joe and me, and I know the other members of our club who attended. I think that's about it. If we would like to go on from there, that's fine.
Oh.
Okay,
is John Bendel not able to join us now? Have we? I'm sorry, John, are you there?
Which one?
About the band in Philly.
No.
I can't spot him.
No. What about Kirsty? Oh, sorry. Who's speaking?
Sorry, Lisa. Paul. I've been looking through the screens. I don't know where John's disappeared to be honest with you.
All right. Well, maybe he could join us later then. Thanks everybody for just going with the flow here. As we continue on, we have the socializing section, which was going to be these sort of questions of the day, the positive things about quarantine, or the favorite comfort food. Before we go on to that, which could take a while if we've got a lot of people wanting to participate, do we want to hear from either president? Anything you'd like to share before we go on to this next segment of our meeting?
Hi, it's Jeff here. It's been a wonderful meeting. Thank you very much. I wrote to Jay earlier. I'm hoping to get over to Canada next year. And much as I've been past Philadelphia many times on my drive south, I've never called in. So I'm hoping to get over to see you sometime next year.
We would love that. Yes, and to meet in person would be nice if, assuming that will be allowed. Yeah, certainly. Okay.
Jeff, we'd certainly like to see you here next year. I guess the only one thing I want to say in looking at that photograph in Birmingham and seeing Linmar Brock brings back great memories. He was my proposer to the Rotary Club of Philadelphia 10 years ago. And for anyone who knows him, he is one of the best salesmen around. He's hard to say no to. So it was really nice to see that photograph.
Right. Thank you for that. Kirsty, I'm putting you on the spot, but since you were involved in the original reconnection with the Nottingham Club, is there anything that you would like to say if you're still on the line?
I just think it's fun to participate by Zoom. I think over the years our connection videos are getting better and better. And also with my parents being in Edinburgh, I really enjoy the whole Edinburgh, Nottingham, Philadelphia connection. Even though I've been on the move for so long now, I sincerely appreciate the club still letting me join in. I have reached out to the local clubs here in Oakhurst, California. I think they've been pretty active still during quarantine with the local community. But I stayed in quarantine with my friends and didn't mingle much. But it's, again, even though I kind of often park in places where I have no cell service, I think it's pretty special that we can connect from London to Nottingham to Philadelphia to California by Zoom. So hi to everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kirsty. So
thank you.
Happy here.
And thank you to Joan for inviting me to join today.
Kirsty, it was good to see you. You were on the admissions committee then.
Yeah, I remember coming to interview you in your office, and you had that big, lovely portrait painting behind your desk. It threw me off a bit.
That's correct. You had an opportunity to screen me out, but
oh no, you passed with flying colors. Congratulations on the presidency.
All right. Excellent. Okay, John Bendel, has he resurfaced? If not, I'll just ask somebody to send me a message if it is time to hear from John. Otherwise, we're going to begin with the question of the day. Let me read some of what folks have shared in the chat box. We heard from Gwen saying that one good thing of the pandemic is lots of family time. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Bob in Key Biscayne, Florida says the benefit of the pandemic, my car gets 3 weeks to the gallon, 3 weeks to the gallon. I love that. From Kelly in Philadelphia, similarly, less traffic, neighbors being friendlier because we're all in this together, and I'm finally home to receive packages. Yes, okay. So let's continue on. Alex, I'm going to need your help in terms of looking for raised hands. You can either physically just raise your hand, or do you know if you go down to the bottom of your screen where it says participants, there's an option for you to raise your hand. So that is a way that I could see you. So I'll just ask for anybody to chime in with a raise of a hand.
It's good. We got a
answer the question, what's been your go-to comfort food or positive thing about the quarantine period? No?
Lisa, I'll go first.
All right. How about Paul Jones? Can we hear from you? I'm just Paul. Oh, Alex is volunteering. Great.
Yeah, sorry. I'm keeping a hawk's eye out for people raising their hands. I think for me, in terms of doing business, it's actually gotten substantially easier. I work in finance, and there's not a lot of, at least on my end, a lot of ways to electronically do business in the US, and at least with the companies that I work with, that's gotten pushed up a lot. So things that I think were in pilot, I can actually use, and that was like a couple weeks in the quarantine. So that's made it much easier. For comfort food, I've been cooking a lot more. So a lot more Mexican food. So starting like real simple with making salsas, making tacos, pickling onions, like things like that. So it's been fun to try out some new stuff. So that for sure.
Thank you. All right, I see hands raised. Lisa and Zaki, you are next. Would you please unmute yourselves?
Yeah, hi. So my good thing about quarantine has been learning new skills. So at the start of it, I started to learn how to make sourdough bread. I resurrected my sourdough starter that I received from my mother from Finland at the beginning, and I've made some quite good loaves. So
well done. All right. And that kind of qualifies in answering both questions, right?
Yeah.
A new skill, but it's also bread is comfort food for many. Yeah. Okay, I don't see any hand raised in the chat area. So how about just,
we got Paul.
Paul, okay, Paul, you're next.
Yes. I'll just repeat Alex's sentiments from a business point of view. It's forced my hand to use Zoom with client meetings, and it's become quite a time saver, and I think it might be the way moving forward. Good things about quarantine, being a financial advisor, I've hardly spent any money for 2 or 3 months. I've saved a lot of money, so practicing what I preach as well, which is quite a good thing. Comfort food, well, the weather throughout April and May over here in the UK was absolutely fantastic. Every day was a sunny day, so I put a lot of miles in on my bicycle, and that just gives you a license to eat anything you want when you start putting the serious miles in. So everything's comfort food when you're doing 100-mile rides. So there you go. Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, could we hear from Patrick or Francine about the beer tasting if they're online? And I see Rosanna has Lewis with her. But Francine, Patrick, are you here?
We're here. Yes, we're here. And thank you for the invitation. Actually, Francine didn't mention our connection with Philadelphia is that Francine's son, Justin, just moved to Philadelphia a month and a half ago. Actually, he's returning to Philadelphia because he graduated from the University in Pennsylvania a couple of years ago. And so we were thinking that we would be physically in Philadelphia this week and that we would be able to join you from Philadelphia. But things being as unpredictable as they are these days, we had to change our traveling plans because of COVID. And so we are still joining you. And so that's the reason why we're still happy to connect internationally. So to answer to Joan's question, actually, I invited myself to the after hour or to the happy hour club a week ago. And that was just the perfect timing to have a beer in hand because it's a happy hour club. And I happened to mention a fellowship, a Rotary fellowship, which maybe some of you have already joined. It's the BREW, which stands for Beer Rotarians Enjoy Worldwide. And so this is a great concept. Having married a Belgian lady, I'm pretty happy that she educated me on the beers because I was totally off the mark when it was about appreciating a good IPA or something a bit more bitter than I was used to. And so the beauty of this fellowship is that they like to have fun around the beer. They have obviously implemented Zoom meetings from all around the world. So we've got people connecting to these meetings from New Zealand, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning when we meet over there in Colorado. It's happy hour time, but they still have their beer. And the beauty of it is that everybody knows in the beer fellowship that it takes a very good quality water to make a good beer. So most of the proceeds of the fees that we pay to the fellow member of this organization go to the WASH organization, to the WASH Rotary Action Group, which is a fantastic organization making wonderful projects happen all around the world. So we are quite proud of supporting this organization with our fellowship. And I thought for a happy hour club, it would be a kind of natural segue to join or try to attend their Zoom meetings, which happens to be on the 25th of July, I think at 5 o'clock, or should be 5 o'clock somewhere anyway. So,
I think it's 5 o'clock Philly time and 4 o'clock.
It could be 5 o'clock Philly time, I think, yeah. But I forwarded Joan the information about this fellowship, which is a great group of people.
Very nice. Well, thank you for that. And good luck with it. It sounds fun. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw a hand raised. Ishtvan Mersic?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm from Nottingham. And as Paul said, we had a lovely weather in Nottingham during the last few months. And the lockdown was actually, we called it in our family like an extended holiday in the garden. And me being an orthopedic surgeon, actually working long hours in the hospital, that was almost complete standstill for a few weeks. That means a significant improvement in our family life and actually having meals together with my family. We've got still 3 boys in the house, and that's great to have them DIYs and fixing and gardening, but I managed to convince them to do. And also with a bit of encouragement from Paul, a bit of cycling. So actually one of my son and myself bought a road bike and we started to road biking, which is fantastic. And it was good for my tummy as well. And the food, yes, when we had the lovely afternoons and evenings in the garden, I think we actually mastered the red wine and the cheese having in the garden and sunset. So I can recommend it to everybody. It's pretty good treatment for the lockdown and the quarantine. Thank you. And it's a great meeting. I'm very, very impressed. This is fantastic to talk over the Atlantic, and I just feel like you are in from a reach of hand, and it's great. I really enjoy it. I'm a new member of Rotary, by the way. I had a lot of fun already.
Oh, good, good. Well, welcome to Rotary. Yeah. Howard's iPad, I see a hand raised. Hi, Howard. If you could unmute yourself, please, and tell us about either comfort food or positive thing coming out of the lockdown.
The positive side of the virus is that a lot of people are caring for each other, which I think has been very, very good. supporting each other through a very, very bad time. And I think it shows humanity amongst everybody. The comfort food, I should have been in Greece about a week ago. So I've been eating Greek food over the time period. I love Greek food. It's wonderful. It's good for my health. And so I enjoy that. And the downside, and there's a downside, I'm missing hockey. My wife and I are hockey fans. And we go and watch our team called Nottingham Panthers. And we've been up to Pittsburgh, and I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. Mm-hmm. Now that might upset a few Philadelphia fans, but never mind.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you. We're going to pause our question of the day for just a moment. If Christina Recto could step up to the Zoom microphone and just say a few words about your Rotaract Club, please. It might be interesting for all of us to get a little update from you, Christina Recto. If you could please unmute.
Sure, hello.
And then we'll get back to our question.
It's really great to hear about everybody's experiences, the positive ones. It's been really great. So usually during the school year, when we're on campus, what we do as a club is we try to make volunteering as accessible to college students as possible. So we do a lot of volunteering work with organizations that are near our campus. So we usually rotate on the weekends, but we'll go to the Penn Working Dog Center and we'll help volunteer with cleaning the kennels, and we get to play with the dogs. We'll also go to the Penn Transplant House, and that's a place for people recovering from transplant surgeries. And so we'll go there on the weekends and cook breakfast for the people. And it's really great because we get to cook the breakfast and then we get to sit down with them and have a conversation with them and enjoy the breakfast together. So we've met a lot of really cool people from that, a lot of Philadelphians, and being able to interact with the community. And then we also work at the Ronald McDonald House that's close to campus, and we get to play with the kids there. So it's been really great because we try to open up our membership to everyone on campus, and we send out like weekly newsletters. So we see a lot of new faces, so it's been a really great experience. And currently we're, a lot of us right now, so at least for Penn, they're doing like a hybrid model in the fall. So some people will be, some people will be at home, some people will go back to campus. And so we're going to meet up in a couple of weeks and try to figure out virtual opportunities, most likely, to have it as involved as possible for people who may not be able to come back to campus. So yeah, that's kind of what we do at our club.
All right. Well, you've got an important job there, especially during these times when, you know, just the world isn't what it is used to being. So good luck with all of that, Christina, and thank you so much for all of your activity and effort that you're putting into Rotaract. Yeah, future Rotarians come from Rotaract members, so of course that's a relationship that we really appreciate very much. So thank you, Christina, for joining us. Looks like we have nobody else who raised a hand wanting to respond to the question
Rosanna.
of the day. So
We gotta give her
sorry. Oh, Rosanna. Yes, Rosanna. Rosanna and your son, if you could unmute, please.
Okay. Hi. Well, we have been doing a lot of recipes from my mom. So a lot of French cooking, and Louis has been doing a few recipes himself. So
a lot of recipes.
Okay. So talk about your recipes. What have you been doing?
Well, I've been doing my grandmother's recipes for French food, and my specialty, I created it all by myself. I've also made coconut maple treats.
Yummy, yummy.
Yeah, he likes, I think he prefers to make desserts, so that's his specialty.
Well, Louis, do you like to eat desserts as well as make them?
Yeah.
Every young person enjoys desserts. I still enjoy desserts. Who doesn't? All right, thank you both. It's nice to see you together there on the screen. Anybody else who'd like to talk about either a comfort food or a positive thing about the quarantine?
We got Catherine.
Catherine.
Oh, there we go.
I'm just grateful. You know, I'm grateful for everything that I have. I have a lot. Sort of hunkered down in New York for a long time, but we have all the conveniences that we could possibly need. I work with a foundation that relocates medical equipment to other countries. So we've been dealing with the situation, and I'm just going to reach out. There's one of the hospitals that we work with in Honduras, and Honduras is very much in need of just oxygen right now. Patients are dying because they can't get oxygen. So if anyone there, we can't legally put an oxygen tank on any of our shipping containers. So if anyone knows how we could just get oxygen tanks to Honduras, I'd greatly appreciate it. That's it.
If you want to put your contact info in the chat box, Catherine, that's
Sure.
the way we could follow up with you. Thank you for that. Before we turn it over to our presidents, does anyone else have any closing comments or any comments about how you think today's Zoom meeting went, or anything that might be nice? We do a thing called Happy Dollars at the end of our meetings, where we just step up to the microphone and share some happy news. So we have a couple minutes left if anybody wants to share anything at all.
Yeah, Lisa, it's Paul again from Nottingham Club. Just want to say hello to Christina from your Rotary Club. Just make a comment that we have a Rotary Club of Nottingham as well, and they're based in the University of Nottingham, obviously made up of a lot of our overseas students that come and study here from Europe, India and China. It might be nice to maybe put you in touch with them, hook you up, and let's get some international Rotary activity going on there as well, Christina. So maybe one way or the other, when our guys come back to university in September, we'll try and see if we can hook you up with the Rotary Club of Nottingham and the university there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Everybody, I lost.
Hi, Marva.
Hi. For some.
Looks like you're muted again, Marva.
Okay.
Now we hear you.
Catherine is my friend from New York. I was late to the meeting because I was at a car dealership getting some work done to my car. In any event, I don't know, Jay, did you introduce Catherine for me?
We had Catherine say a few words at the beginning of the meeting. Yes, she introduced herself.
Yeah, she does incredible work with The World is Our Neighbor, her foundation. And I was lucky enough to work with her. And she provided the 40-foot container of equipment that I took to Jamaica a few years, when 2016. And she's always working with different third world countries, helping them out with her own monies. So I'm really impressed by this lady, and I'm glad she was able to come in and participate today.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for making that connection. Well done. Okay, before we go back to the presidents, anybody else want to say anything?
We got Bob Brooks.
Yeah, a couple of things. One is we do Happy Dollars as well. And then I realized that on Zoom, it's pretty hard to do Happy Dollars since you don't see the money. Being the treasurer of my foundation, we set up a PayPal account. And I'll tell you, the club just is now rolling in dough because people feel an obligation to support the club. But I do want to say that we're very, very happy this year to have completed 2 global grants out of 5 or 6 that we have. They finally came to fruition. 2 projects, very difficult projects in the jungles of Latin America, one in the jungles of Peru and Iquitos, and the other one in Venezuela, the only project in Venezuela of its kind. We completed both of them. Over 100,000 anti-malaria nets were distributed, installed, people trained. These are special hammocks that we use in order to allow them to be put onto hammocks. You can't use a bed net on there. You have to use a hammock net. So we had those specifically made in Vietnam, and then we shipped them in, trucked them in, bribed them in, whatever we had to do to get them in. Over 100,000 of them were distributed. That's a significant amount of lives. And 2 of our Rotarian members were directly involved on the ground in both projects, both husband and wife teams. Steve Baker and his wife, Peggy Bellinger. Patty Urban, and Freddie Gomez de Cordova. So those are four of our heroes in our club, and we have really affected a tremendous amount of lives in very remote areas of Latin America. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Bob. Yeah. Marva, did you have something else you wanted to say?
I was just thinking Bob and Catherine could work together. It seems like they're working in the same area. Catherine, you heard that? Catherine?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you see the connection. I think you could connect with Bob and his group.
Rotary connects the world.
Things always make a difference.
Yes.
Thank you. Hey, you know, in my focusing on my MC job, I forgot to share my own answers to my own questions. So I'm going to say comfort food has been macaroni and cheese. I've been eating it so much. And then I'm loving the creativity that has come out. We see it on television with the different sorts of advertising and Saturday Night Live doing Zoom shows and the talk shows working from home. I've been inspired by that. So I think these times have brought us to get in touch with our creative selves, and new ideas are coming through this. So thank you everybody for sharing. That was interesting and very enjoyable. So I'm done, I think, with my part of the job here today. So why don't we turn it back over to our presidents, Jeff Bosworth from Nottingham and Jay Penny from Philadelphia.
Okay, thank you. Thanks to Paul. I wanted to echo his comments there. I was making notes during Christine's little talk there about the Rotaract. There's a lot of energy going on, a lot of great things happening. So it'd be great if Rotaract there could hook up with our guys. I want to thank Alex and Lisa, and thank you, Jay, for hosting and having us all along. Hope to see you again soon.
Great. Thank you. Well, I just want to say how wonderful this opportunity is today to connect with so many great people. Hopefully this will continue in the future, and hopefully these connections will help us really serve the communities in which we serve, both locally and internationally. I do want to say too that we were just notified this morning that we will be a host for 3 pediatric surgeons from China, but this is, given the pandemic, it's been put off till next year, but it has been approved by Rotary International. So Christina will probably be reaching out to you to have some of this, maybe the surgeons visit you guys out in the Penn area, because they're going to be working at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia to train on a specialized operation that they can take back to rural China, so that they can teach pediatric surgeons there how to do this particular operation. So we're excited about that. With that, again, thank you all very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Are we doing happy dollars?
Sure. I have a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I know you're keeping track. Well, I'd like to give 5 happy dollars. So this has been a great meeting, and thanks to everybody for putting it together. And it's just great to see. I know last year's Rotary International theme was Rotary Connects the World, and it's happening right here before our eyes. I think we have, what would they have? Nottingham, we have Florida, New York. I think somebody's from Little Rock, California, the Philly area, of course. It's very cool. It's very cool, and it's always great to see and meet new people and hear about their experiences, and also good to see great Rotary friends like Kirsty. So glad to see you're doing well, Kirsty. And just nice to meet everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
Yep. I have 2 happy dollars for my friend Catherine finally joining us for one of our meetings. Hopefully I can convince her to be a member, although she's in New York, so maybe remotely.
Thanks, Marva. And it looks as though it's 2:16, so we might want to offer the Nottingham folks an opportunity to log out if you're not able to stay with us, but you are welcome. It seems that we Philadelphia Rotary people have to do our half dollars, so we'll go around the room to those of us who are still remaining, and anybody else on the line, if you'd like to just share some good news or anything, I mean, we're happy to keep the line open for a few more minutes if anybody wants to share. So anyone else from anywhere want to say anything? And again, thanks to everybody in Nottingham for joining us. And if you have to go, we wish you a wonderful rest of the day or evening.
Hi, this is Francine.
Okay, anybody else?
Indeed.
Oh, hi there. Yes, Francine.
And we actually do happy dollars also in some of our clubs. So I'll be happy to send a check for the $5. But I think that what is amazing is not just this meeting, but we've actually participated in several Zoom meetings kind of across the world. And so the fun thing in a way is that far away or close by has become the same. And so you have less of this kind of, at least mental inhibition of kind of visiting with people once you're over there. So to me, that is kind of a fun thing, as exemplified by this meeting. And I would encourage people to do a lot of that. It's really neat.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you, Francine.
I think we have William.
Anybody else?
Howard. I don't know if you still are interested. Your hand is raised. So we got two more.
Well, that might have been from earlier, but yeah, William. Where are you, William? Can you unmute yourself, please? Oh, there he is, William. He's muted. William, are you able to click the unmute button or?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, William. Yes. Hello.
What I was going to say, this is absolutely wonderful, isn't it? Because we haven't consumed any fuel in our motor cars this evening at all. You know, and we're just all together, and it's absolutely wonderful. And this is modern technology, which I'm seeing, you know, towards the end. I'm 86, so, you know, it's absolutely fantastic. And thank you to everybody for taking part. And let's do it again sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, William. And then Howard, was there anything else you'd like to say? All right then. Okay. Well, we will wrap up here. I see some notes in the chat. Great meeting, great meeting. All right, well, let's just leave it with that then. It was a great meeting, and I really appreciate all of you for participating. Joan Battori, you got this all started. You're an amazing organizer and connector of people. So we thank the Battoris and everybody else. I'll just sign off with a big wave from Philadelphia. And thank you, everybody.
And Paul.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Paul, my
Paul.
counterpart.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Paul. Bye now.
No problem, Jones. My pleasure.